How are you? Thanks for tuning in. I'm Jody Friedman from License Your Music. Today we're going to talk about performance rights organizations. And if you haven't watched our past videos, our previous videos on P.R.Os, that's the abbreviation for Performance Rights Organization, please go ahead and do that because it will give you a foundation for what they are and how they work. But I will summarize it as best I can quickly here. Basically, there are three P.R.Os, and we're specifically speaking to the United States right now because there's actually a ton of P.R.Os around the world. There's a P.R.O. for almost every country to collect public performance royalties. And that's what they do. They collect public performance royalties. Anytime your song airs publicly, their job is to collect royalties for those public performances on radio, in the grocery store, on television, in the coffee shop, wherever it might be. Their job is to collect that public performance of your compositions. So what I'd like to do today is do a side-by-side comparison of statements that I've received to compare the types of earnings from ASCAP, BMI, and SESAC because they're not consistent. They're not the same. And you'd think that they would be, that if you have a song that airs on a show at a certain time for a certain amount of time, that it would be the exact same payment that you'd get, $100 from ASCAP, which would mean you get $100 from BMI if you happen to have a writer with ASCAP and another writer with BMI. And that's not always the case. So we're going to look at some statements. Let's go ahead and look at that. How does it work? There's a composition and you have your writer's share and your publisher's share. So if there are performance royalties of $1,000, it's split evenly between the writer and the publisher. Now, what if there's two writers over here? If there's two writers, then that $500 should be split evenly, $250 to one writer and $250 to the other. It's not always the case if you're with different P.R.Os. If one writer's with ASCAP and one is with BMI, you're not going to see the exact same income. And let's look closely at that. So years ago, we had a song in a program called House of Food on MTV. Here's an example of that placement. We got this House of Food, the first one here. It says the title of the episode was Big Beef. The title of the song was Living the Good Life. And I'm actually half writer on this song. It says we have 25%. What that means in ASCAP terms is we have half of that song, which means ASCAP administers 50% or 25% of that 50% pie. Remember, I showed you the pie chart where half of it's the writer share and half of it's the publisher share. With ASCAP, they consider 50% writer share and 50% publisher share. With BMI, they consider 100% writer share and 100% publisher share. So they work on a 200% scale. ASCAP works on a 100% scale. BMI works on a 200% scale. I know that's confusing, but just imagine like a pizza pie, and one pizza pie is the same size as the other, except one's called 200 and one's called 100. When you split them in half, you get 50-50 on the 100 and 100 and 100 on the 200, okay? So if you need to hear that again, rewind, listen close. It's not that complex. It's just that one has a 200% scale and one has a 100% scale. With ASCAP, it's the 100% scale. So what they say is they administer 25% for the writer share, okay? So that means one writer is with ASCAP, the other one happens to be with BMI, which I'll show you in a minute here. It played 7 times. It's a background use. It's 15 seconds long. It's 0.00001 credits, which equals 0.00009 cents. Okay, now let's pull up that same placement with BMI. So down here, House of Food, Living the Good Life is the song. There's the episode. It's a background vocal use, 15 seconds long, 50% of the share, which is the same as ASCAP's 25%. It just means half of the writer's share is with BMI. The cents, or what is that? That is the current activity, they call it, 4 cents. The payout, the royalty payout, is 4 cents, which you see right there. It's 4 cents. So we've got 0.00009 versus 4 cents for the same exact placement. That's almost 1,000 times more from BMI. It's not always the case. If you have $100 from ASCAP, you're not going to get $1,000 from BMI necessarily. But this is just one example where BMI comes out on top in terms of payment. Same song, 15 seconds. They don't say the number of uses here, but it airs in the same place. It airs on MTV, and they're both monitoring MTV. So it's the same number of uses, and it's 4 cents versus 0.00009 cents. All right, so that's a look at ASCAP versus BMI. So this one was for a show called White Famous, and it was for my Amaya Music Publishing, my SESAC publishing company. I publish a writer on this that's with SESAC, and I publish 2 writers that are with ASCAP. And we're going to look at those statements side by side to see the difference. So the song's called How It Has to Be. It was on White Famous. It aired as a featured use on Showtime. It aired twice. It aired for 23 seconds and then for 1:35. It aired twice. It aired 23 seconds and then aired for 1:35. And the payment for those uses were 84 cents and $1.69. Okay? So now let's look at that same placement with an ASCAP royalty statement. How It Has to Be on Showtime, featured use, 1:35 and 23 seconds. For the 1:35 use, ASCAP pays $2.69, and for the 23-second use, ASCAP pays 65 cents versus $1.69 from SESAC and 84 cents. But here's the difference, guys. 2 of the writers on this track were with ASCAP. So see how it says 33% versus 16%? If you add 33 with 16, you get 50%, right? So 1/3 of the writer, 1 writer with SESAC, 2 writers are with ASCAP. So what we do is we take that $2.69 and we divide it by 2, and it's $1.34. So the actual payment for 1 person on this was $1.34 versus $1.69. SESAC still pays more on this one. And it's the same for this. 65 cents divided by 2, 32 cents, 32.5 cents, 84 cents. So SESAC paid more than ASCAP did for this use. So that's just a quick look at a comparison between ASCAP and SESAC and ASCAP and BMI. What I don't have is a comparison between BMI and SESAC, but I think you guys get the gist. So in summary, we can see that BMI and SESAC both pay a bit more than ASCAP when it comes to side-by-side comparison of statements. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Jody Friedman from License Your Music. If you guys like what you hear, please download the free guide below and come by our website at licenseyourmusic.com. We have all sorts of free content on there. Just opt into our mailing list. You'll be made aware of panels and events, listening sessions, and all sorts of things. Come check out our podcast at License Your Music Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook at License Your Music. And check out some more videos while you're on YouTube here. We've got a lot of good stuff on here. So we appreciate you. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube, and we'll see you on the next one.